Obrigado. Thank you so much, Susana.
So now I know that you've just signed the CPCV last week, right?
Yeah, the promissory contract for the new house here, so we are very excited.
So before I go into details into asking you your buying journey and some tips that you can share with our audience, what about the selling process in your current apartment?
Yeah, it was quite an experience coming from Braga because I used to live there for 7 years and now we are finally moving here to the Lisbon region. So for the selling part, we could feel that the market is really hot at the moment. It was quite easy to announce and have people interested, and we had some visits, not many. We had like around 5 visits at most. And then we were trying to get the best deal. It took like a month and a half, and it was quite quick, so it was a good experience.
That's really quick. International standards, it's really quick. So it means, and it's even not in like Porto or Lisbon, it's in Braga.
Braga may be like the third main region in Portugal. It also offers good services and good opportunities, but it's definitely not the top. So still even there, we have like this hot market.
Yeah, so it means that property assets in Portugal, it's very liquid. You can like sell
for sure,
like with a very good price in a very short time.
Yeah, and it's very stable because we have been noticing this for a long time, like for at least 7 years that I'm following the process. So since my first apartment. So yeah.
So what about your buying journey? We want to know more about
that. Was harder for sure. It was very complicated because on the buyer's side, we don't feel that we can find many options, good options, especially here in Lisbon, in the central areas. I mean, in the city of Lisbon, it's being very expensive. Prices are increasing a lot. So it was not easy for sure. And then we started to also look at other cities nearby in the suburbs of Lisbon. And that was the tricky part, having to know and meet other places that we had no experiences or references. So we had to go and visit some new places. But surprisingly, we found good options as well.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about the 2 or 3 of the places that you were targeting into? Because I know you're targeting outside, a little bit outside of the Lisbon.
Yeah, that's true. So both on the north bank of the river and the south region as well, we were trying to find cities that would be easy to commute to Lisbon, because it's important to us not to be that far away. Easy to commute, I mean no more than an hour using public transport, ideally less than that for sure, but we would like to be somewhere also with public transport available, not only to go by car. So then we ended up selecting 2 main cities that we liked most, which was in the south bank, Seixal, which is a nice city near Lisbon with a nice bay area, very beautiful, and it's quite of an autonomous city with a lot of services and good stores, restaurants. And also we selected Alverca, which is a city in the north side of the river, closer to Expo, the new part of Lisbon. But it's not that big, and it's also actually not a city, it's a parish that belongs to a bigger city, like the council of Vila Franca de Xira, which is a little north.
A little bit north, yes, I know that region as well.
So then it was good because both had options to go to central Lisbon by public transport, but Seixal was farther away. So we ended up preferring to be in Alverca because it was just only about 20 minutes by train to Expo, where my wife will work. So for her it was very important. we work here in the central part of Lisbon, but it's also close if you come from Expo to here. So that was the best option, because from Seixal it will take around an hour to get to Expo, so it's not that convenient.
Right.
But Alverca is also a nice region. We ended up discovering nice features, nice opportunities there as well, of apartments, very good developments, good new buildings. And we found that there they have like all the main supermarkets, gyms, good restaurants, cafes.
Right.
So it's a good place to be, also with green areas, and very easy to get to Lisbon. So if you have anything to do in the city, in the big
Right.
city, it's very simple to come, and it's basically as you would be in the suburbs of Lisbon.
Right. So actually, I personally, I know like many people who lives nearby in Alverca, Vila Franca de Xira, and I think a lot of people right now are like moving from Lisbon to this type of like suburb areas, and but I know a lot of people like the audience might not be too familiar, because it's not Lisbon.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why those regions are growing, and they are improving
Yeah.
things and services.
Right.
So it's
I think the expat, when they first come like to Portugal, they would like to be in more centralized places, and then a few years after, maybe they would like more space, and then like better value, and then they move out.
exactly, yeah. So we were able to find that it's very well preserved, the city. Also, Seixal is a great city, but as I mentioned before, being on the south bank, it's harder because the traffic jam is worse.
Yeah.
If you need to commute, if you need to come by car, if you are like during the rush hour, it's very complicated because you need to cross the bridge.
Right.
Being in Alverca, it's easier because you
There's
are
no
on
bridge.
the north
Yeah.
bank, so it's easier there's no bridge to cross, and even by car, it doesn't take long because the highways are very easy to
Right. Yeah.
drive, you know.
And what about the buying process? Is it like easy? Because there are some, some stories.
Yeah, well, so definitely being on the buyer's side is harder because as we know that the market is very hot at the moment, the sellers will always try to get the best deal close to the asking price,
Right.
so it's hard to negotiate.
Right.
So we had an option. We would move to Seixal, actually, this other city that I was talking about. But the sellers, they needed more time to leave the house because they were also trying to find another property. And since we already we were selling our house in this process, like we need to sell our house and then buy the new one, and the contract for our house in Braga, we need to leave the house by August.
Okay.
And these owners from the house in Seixal, they need to be there until the end of the year. We couldn't wait for
wow.
that, so we had to just give up and try to find somewhere else. So then we were negotiating with them, so we had to withdraw this negotiation and try to find a new apartment. Then we were able to find it in Alverca, which was also a great option. And we could reduce just a bit the price, but it was hard. The seller was really tough.
Right.
And then we had to accept basically everything that he was asking to keep, and in the negotiation we just reduced a bit the price, but it was hard. Yeah.
Right. So when you're looking at your property search, how many are there? You told us there are not a lot of options, right?
Yeah,
But how
that
many
was
properties
very
did you
hard. As I told you before, we had to wait for about just a month and a half to sell our house in Braga, but here we wanted to be in a very good deal and find a very good property, because it's a big move from a different city. Like we had to make sure that this would be a good move. So then we had a list of many properties, but in different areas. We had this list of about maybe 15 to 20 properties that we liked, but most of those, when we see on the internet, like when they publish the announcement, it may not be actually available.
It's already
that
like
happens
sold.
a lot.
Yeah.
So we have many portals here from the real estate agencies and other portals where you can see all these properties, but when we call them, they will say that it's no longer available. So this is very common.
Yes, it's
From
common.
this big list of 20 options, I would say that no more than 10 we were able to visit. And still we were like really needing to find the perfect place. So it took longer, and also it was harder for us being there in Braga to come to Lisbon and visit. We had to schedule like 8 visits in one day, so to try to make an effort for the travel to be, you know. But then it was about that, around 10 visits. One, we tried to close the deal. We had this issue that the sellers needed more time. We hadn't time, so we ended up selecting this one in Alverca, which was easier because in that case the owner was not living in the house. It was already available, so for him it would be easier.
And for you,
and for us,
be a good match.
It was ready to move. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about your criteria in finding your dream place?
Yeah, sure. As we know that in the north, prices are lower. It was something that we knew that we would sell our house there and need to pay more to live in a place that would be equivalent to our apartment in Braga. So that was really hard because we wouldn't give up on some features that we had there. We wouldn't want to move to a smaller place. We live in a 3-bedroom apartment, so we had to move to the same size apartment with at least 2 bathrooms, elevator in the building, which is not that common here in Lisbon, in central Lisbon. So you will have fewer options if you want to make sure there will be elevator and also a parking space. Which is also not common in the city of Lisbon. So that's why we also had to look for the suburbs and these newer developments as well, because old buildings here, they usually won't have
parking, they don't have elevator.
So then these things we knew that we will not give up, and it was harder.
Why don't we recap for our audience to let them know the buying process in Lisbon, like the usual buying process after you made a deal with the owner and you need to sign the CPCV. What is next?
Right. So from the very beginning, after you go for the visits, you need to make an offer usually, right? So this is still not a contract. Usually it's possible to write a contract for the offer, but it's not common. So usually we just make an offer to the seller, and if they accept, we start drafting the promissory contract of purchase and sale. This one is the one that we already signed, so we are
so at least
secure.
It's like secure.
Because then we have.
And also, what about the deposit? So how much deposit is the normal
by
amount?
procedure? The normal is 10% of the price, so we need to pay that when we sign the promissory contract. So that's the first phase, and once we sign the promissory contract, we know that the deal is legit. It's also registered with land registry office here, so it's something that if one of the parties withdraw the deal, like if the buyer withdraws, the price that we paid for the down payment will be kept by the seller. So it's a risk. So also from the other side, if the seller withdraws, then the buyer is entitled to receive it back in double the down payment. So
Right.
that's what gives strength to the contract.
Right.
We have then a window between the promissory contract and the deed, usually to prepare basic documentation, the registrations, licenses that
Right.
need to be delivered. And also there is
And mortgage, if people are taking out
yeah,
mortgage.
the approval
with
from the bank
Yeah.
as well. So then we schedule the deed. This really depends on the intentions of each party. It can be quick, or some people need to wait longer. In our case, it will be around a month after the promissory contract.
Okay.
We are scheduling the deed right now.
Okay,
It will be in
okay.
the end of June. So then, when we have the deed, it's the moment when both parties go to a notary or lawyer's office. Then the parties sign the final contract, which is the purchase and sale contract, which is the
Right.
deed. And after that, it's just switching the keys and waiting to get the final registration, which is something very quick. But from this moment, you are already considered the owner of the new property.
Great. I think that's very clear. So if any audience would like us to find a property, or helping on the legal process or the mortgage, you can always contact us.
Yeah, we have great experience with that.
Yeah.
So we will be glad to help if anyone needs.
Thank you.